Ed Krasenstein tweeted this. He said, MAGA now thinks that cracking down on price gouging is considered Marxist. Doesn't Trump keep trying to take credit for setting a limit on the price of insulin? Didn't Trump give subsidies to farmers after his trade war greatly harmed them? I guess Marxism is only Marxism when the left uses government power to control prices or give money to certain people, right? When I read that, I started busting out laughing because he literally just defines communism and is like, I guess communism is when you're communist. And it's just, so I had to tweet and I just laughing. Yes, literally effing yes. When the left uses government to control prices and give certain people money, that is literally what we are talking about with Marxist theory, communist theory, and socialist economics. And so then he goes in this thing about like Trump doing it too. And I'm like, dude,
tariffs on goods is not the same thing as
sure.
No.
That's like an international trade.
A lot of people pointed that out. And giving subsidies to farmers literally is socialist economics. We are a mixed economy. Yeah. I am not a fan of how the government keeps intervening in the market. Trump does not get any special treatment. Marxism is Marxism. Communism. He's like, so is that Marxism too? Yes. Yeah. It doesn't
also, who do you even propose is doing the price gouging? Like, if you live anywhere that has, this is from a free market standpoint, but if you have somewhere that has two grocery stores, if one of them is jacking up the price of one thing, then the other one is like, we're just going to lower our price by 50 cents on eggs, and then everybody's going to come buy their eggs from us, and then the other person is going to be like, we lost all our business, so now we're going to lower it. So it's like, I don't think they are actually price gouging. I think
I'm pro price gouging,
but I don't think anybody is really.
I am
pro what?
You're price gouging.
I'm pro.
I'm not saying pro. I'm saying people are actually like, are stores actually price gouging?
Oh no, they're not. But I'm for it.
Sure. I mean,
I think anyone selling a good or labor can choose their own prices. Thank you and have a nice day.
I mean, Balenciaga sells a roll of tape for $3,000 that you put on your wrist. So like, that is price gouging. But if someone wants to pay it,
really?
Yeah, if someone wants to pay it, then
right.
Go for it.
And so price fixing? No, that should be illegal. When big corporations get together and say, hey, don't lower your prices, down to a certain level so that we can all rip a profit off these people. Okay, that's collusion and conspiracy to manipulate the markets.
Yeah, you're acting like a cartel at that point.
But I was mentioning this on the morning show. If like a hurricane hit and it wiped out all the infrastructure and people were like, we have no water. Oh no, we're going to die. And then some guy's like, oh man, I bet if I go and buy a bunch of water and drive it down there, I can sell this for a great amount and make some money because people have no choice. So they want to ban that because it's price gouging, right? No. You have to drive 60 miles with all the water you bought and all the work you did, and you can still only sell the bottle for $1. They're going to be like, why? I'll only make $30. What's the point?
Yeah, you won't incentivize them to
Then the people down there die of dehydration.
Sure.
Or you can tell people, sell the water for whatever you want because the people down there will pay whatever, and that's fair market. So then you show up and you're like, I got water, it's $5.
Also, but after the first guy drives down there and makes a killing off of selling this water, then other people find out, they're like, wait.
And then the prices go down.
And then the prices just becomes a normal market. And then prices just drop until it's just normal prices.
And you live in New York City. Like I've been to Mets games and Yankees games. You're walking to the stadium.
Yeah.
Everyone's selling water in the street.
I mean, subways everywhere. I mean, a lot of like the migrants now, that's kind of how they're like getting by is they sell cookies and water and stuff out of coolers, and you're like, they sell it for whatever, like they sell it for the same price as you'd get it in a store or less.
So they have to make it competitive.
People just walk by and you're like, I want a bottle of water, and you just buy it from someone, and it's in your hand instead of they save you the convenience of literally walking into a store.
Yeah.
Right, but again, nobody's like price gouging generally gets worked out by any sort of market force.
See, the thing about this tweet. With, and I'll give the credit to the Krasensteins for this much. They get mentioned as much as they do because they actually interact. A lot of these liberals literally don't. They live in their own bubble world. So I can respect that. But this is quite literally the meme of if you criticize them, then you must think Trump is infallible and Trump is perfect. Right? So for Michael Malice, he posts this quote where it's like, I can't remember, it might have been Dave Smith who said this, that when you criticize a Democrat, their supporters have they have no idea how to respond to you, so they just assume you're pro-Trump. Mm-hmm. Dave Smith is a really good example of this when he was on Kennedy, and then he says like, Joe Biden did this, that, and this, and Obama did this, and then the other guy goes, yeah, well, Donald Trump does this, and Dave goes, you're right, he did. Yeah. I don't like Donald Trump.
Yeah,
but they just don't know how to respond other than we hate Trump. Well, for Democrats, it's all they have.
Yeah.
Like, the Mises Caucus guys are overwhelmingly saying they're going to vote for Donald Trump, and they don't like him, but they really don't like Joe Biden, and it's a rock and a hard place. Biden supporters, or I should say Kamala Harris supporters now, don't understand that a lot of Trump's voters are critical of him Some don't like him, but they recognize functional policy and a functional government over whatever it is the Democrats are.
But that's why they keep saying this is a vibes election, right? I mean, we're hearing it over and over again, like the same kind of adage of, well, he's a candidate I'd want to have a beer with, right? I'm sure there are tons of people who are going to cast a ballot for Donald Trump who would never want to have a beer with him, who don't like him, or they would have a drink just to criticize
plug their
him.
nose and they go, this is the best of the two options for my life. And
the stuff that you're proposing is actively against stuff that I believe in. I mean, you were talking about this before with if Kamala Harris rolls out this incentive for first-time home buyers, like if you've been renting for 2 years and we'll give you,
which is smart, to be honest.
It sounds smart, but it is government intervention in the market, which is like, I don't know how you can have it both ways if you're going to be critical of economics, but also realize that this is something we've been creeping into for a long time.
Yeah, I don't think the average voter even thinks about that. I mean, most voters are single-issue voters. Like the abortion thing for the Republicans is like could very well cost them the election because
not if they focus on the economy. I think.
Well, the problem is that
the pressures of the economy could outweigh concerns about abortion.
But there's so many like young women, like I know personally, and it's not even true. But they've taken, like the Democrats have taken over the narrative where they're like, they're going to take away your abortions in this whole country. Like people in New York City, they're like, they're going to take away my abortions or access to them. Like they're never going anywhere in New York City. I can't speak for other states or whatever, but because it's state by state basis, but they're not.
Which is what Trump wants. He wants it to be state by state.
Well, that's what it is.
And Kamala Harris is like, anytime, like I think it was Iowa just passed like a 6-week abortion ban, or just it was allowed to go into effect, and she was like, a Trump abortion ban. The whole thing was done under Biden. Like the law was passed, the court case was tried, and she's still labeling them all as Trump abortion bans.
But it's effective, is what I'm saying, because they're just like the Democrats are just saying, vote for them. No abortions, and people go, okay, like I don't need, and they're not actively countering it, the Republicans, to say like this isn't what's happening at all. They're not, and there's a lot of people who are like, well, they're not saying that they're not doing it. I mean, Trump has said he's not doing it, but they're not getting the message across.
I honestly don't think liberal women even actually care about abortions.
They do. Like
I don't
like my wife's cousin. Literally, the reason she's voting for Kamala Harris.
I know she's saying that, but what I mean to say is that she's just repeating what she heard on the internet.
Why does she care so much? What's the big?
How many abortions has she gotten?
None.
Exactly.
As far as I know. And
care.
she has kids. She has no abortions in her future, but it's more just the idea that they're going to police her body and her daughters.
I disagree. It is that someone on the internet told her that's what's popular, and so that's it. That's the majority of it.
But it doesn't matter. That's what she thinks, and that's why she's voting. And they're not able to counter that.
And the language that they've developed, like you're taking away rights, you're policing women's body, you're telling them what they can't do. Like that emotional language is effective with certain strains of women in America.
Yeah. I know what the answer is, but Trump doesn't have the balls to do it. It's to come out and advocate that liberals get abortions. I'm not kidding. He should come out and say, look, ladies, you should get the abortions. Honestly, I think we'd be better off if you all did. So I'm going to make sure you can. If you want to abort your kids, I encourage it. Get rid of them. We don't need any more.
Maybe a punch
But he doesn't want to do that because he doesn't want to upset.
10th one's free?
He doesn't want to upset the evangelical vote.
That'd be a landslide.
Like encouraging anyone to get an abortion. Like,
but if
he's got to
But if he said
do
it
something.
sarcastically.
Yeah.
No, it wouldn't matter because the media would report it
like
as literal.
Yeah, they would report it as literal, and then you're like, you lose another side of the argument.
That's what I would do. I mean, that's just me. I'm not running for office, and I never am going to.
Again, lots of people, most people are not super online, right? They see a headline and they go, that's what's happening.
How would your, what do you say, your sister?
My wife's cousin.
How would she respond if I was like, if you went to her and you said, have you considered if abortion is right for you? Would she be offended by that?
No.
What if you said, I think you really should consider getting abortion next time?
That probably.
Well, why?
She's just like, well, it just should be my. And she's even talking about like she has 2 daughters. And she's
what's wrong with getting abortions? And then you could be like, you're not pro-life, are you? What do you mean?
Yeah.
Like, maybe you should consider whether.
And she's
or not,
like, I want the choice. Yeah. She's like, maybe I would need it.
If that's right, maybe you should. I think we'd all be better off.
Yeah.
She has no choice in New York. Why?
That's my point. Is that people do have the choice in like certain states, definitely in New York. That's never going anywhere. But the Democrats are saying they're taking away your abortions. People are believing it.
Yeah.
People are saying, oh, they're going to take our abortions away.
It's interesting because the evangelical, like the very pro-life movement in America gets mad at Trump because they're like, no, you should want to act on the federal level. And Trump effectively doesn't want to. He says it should be regulated by the states, which allows states like New York to do one thing where states like Iowa would do something else.
Yeah.
And this is what the mainstream
they're
media
believing that
skips.
it's going to be a federal thing. Like if you ask her or like any, New York liberals, they'll be like, yeah, it will be federal. Like that's
under Kamala Harris, it would be federal in a way that they would like
But
it.
they're thinking Trump comes in and they go, first thing he does, day one, federal ban on abortions in all of America.
Yeah.
Like if you ask them, that's what they think.
And it's, I mean, you're right. It is one of the areas that Trump's response is sort of nuanced, right? He's saying like, I have my personal feelings, but should be regulated by the states. That doesn't market as well as like they are coming for you.
Of course.
They're going to ruin your life.
It's not his is not fear based, and theirs is fear based, and I'm just saying they're winning that argument, like that messaging. They're winning 100%.
Yeah, and it's interesting because I think like the words that I think of with. Because abortion is so much of a like feminist thing that like, you know, if you can't have abortions, then your life is over.
Hey, I know a lot of guys who like abortions too. Their lives are over as well. So.
Right. That's the thing. Like, I think this is so crazy. Like, it is something that I think a lot of men who don't want to take the responsibility for, you know, the consequences of having sex, they would be like, well, really, we should keep these in place. But the words that I think of that kind of go with the same language of like they're stealing your rights are like empowerment, that like having the choice is empowering, which Trump is literally empowering the states to deal with this issue. Like you could start to kind of take the language that they're using and apply it to your argument. But I think because it's so controversial and even on the right, it's not there's not like one position on abortion. They just don't want to talk about it.
Yeah.
Which like, I can't say like it is.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's some messaging that they could figure out. They just have not.
Yeah, they've never really been able to nail down exactly.
And they're on the defensive with the weird stuff, like with all the.
I feel like they're moving a little bit away from the weird stuff.
Yeah, but they were like when the weird stuff started popping off, and then they were like, "Oh, we're not weird. You're weird."
Yeah,
and like the moment you're doing that, you're losing.
As soon as they announced Kamala, I felt like the Trump campaign was on the defensive, and it makes sense. They weren't really sure what to do. On the other hand, I do think if they focus more on the policies that they are pressuring the Harris campaign to sort of get it together and respond.
Yeah, and I think he's firing his
they just brought on Corey Lewandowski and Tim Murtaugh, who was here a couple of months ago. He's on too.
Oh wow. That was smart move. 2016 was so much better than 2020.
Yeah. I wish I was there for that. That would have been so fun.
Where were
2016?
you?
I wasn't paying attention. I was a normie, loving life.
I think that's true, though. It's like 2016 woke up a ton of people, but
2020
actually it was like, or like maybe you were awake by 2018. So
no.
Really? 2020 woke you up?
Yeah. Once COVID, I sat at home for a year and a half.
Yeah.
Well, I started watching the news. Got nothing going on. I'm like, okay, well, this is kind of effed up. What are they doing over there? They're bad people. This is not right.
Yep.
Yeah. What about you?
What?
When did you get interested in politics, or was it always sort of something?
I've kind of always been interested in it. Yeah.
Yeah.
For a long time. My dad always just watched the news, so I was kind of. But
I think it makes a difference.
Probably like definitely under Trump, where I was like, I like legitimately probably 10 years ago, like if I was like, what's on the news, and I would just turn on CNN, just uncritically watch, and I go, yeah, that is what's going on, huh?
Yeah, but
well, for sure, and then less so now, and then probably in 2018, I was like, wait.
But it was kind of it was kind of fine 10 years ago. It was bad.
They weren't lying as much, probably.
For real though.
They were.
I mean, look at that bit where Colbert is talking to Caitlin Collins. And
hilarious.
He's like, you guys do objective news, and the audience busts out laughing.
I think there's always been issues that the media doesn't want to talk about, and whether it was because they just don't think it looks good or whatever else, like there's always been a bias. It's just it got more
used to be
aggressive.
Really bad. Like it used to be, there was 5 networks. There was no, a handful of newspapers, all conglomerates, 5 networks. And if those, few people who own these things decide, hey, we're not going to run this story, you just don't hear about it. Like that's it. Like they have the power to kill you, or they have the power to
Yeah, and there's no alternative, right? It's not like you can go on YouTube and be like, I'm interested in this topic.
Back then there wasn't.
Thanks for watching this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to check out the live show Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. on this channel. Subscribe, and we'll see you all there.